Hello, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. We're going to be continuing our game development project today. We'll see how misdirected I am, or undirected I am today. Last time we said we were going to be working on weaponry, and we spent most of the time refactoring movement and the like, but that's okay. It was adjacent. It was an overlapping code area. Before we get too much further into that, though, we'll check in with the kitties. We do have Sky up in the primary cat tree. We have Sammy over on the bed, Ember on the table. Mason or Sherbet was looking out the window, but I definitely have Sherbet behind my head at the moment, on the headrest of the chair, rolled over and keeping me leaning forward quite a little bit. But yeah, game development tonight. Oh, there's Mason. It's over on the bed with Sammy. Let's lock on over there, huh? We'll have a double. Alrighty. So one thing I just did before the stream started was I looked at movement template and realized that I had created an artificial interface for it. Effectively an interface. But I don't need it because my use case for movement template is now strongly typed. So, hey there, Cheese. Things are going well. It's game dev time once again. Let's see. So it's strongly typed here, where we have an array of movement templates, and then in Spawner, when we create them as movement templates. So because it's strongly typed, we don't need that special interface to check and see if it has that interface. Indeed, Cheese, we have Mason and Sammy on camera now. It is streaming nap time. Sherbet is getting back inside and head scratches here. That's an amusing cat name, Potato. Is he kinda oblong? Or brown? Hey there, Fairy. Welcome to the broadcast. Welcome. Good to have you. So let's see here. Okay, so one of the things that we started to do was we thought about making a special type of spawner that was a weapon. But after going through this, we didn't really need to. What I want to get into first then is position modifiers. So we can change some of the angular rotation and what have you, or the rotation of the vector. So what we were trying to figure out is how to do something like a standard like spread shot kind of thing, where with multiple projectiles, it spreads them into a fan of them. Just repositioning them wouldn't work because it needs to be in the direction of firing that the spread would happen. A lot of right now. I should check for more music. Would mind expanding the playlist still further. We don't generally get overlap very frequently, but, you know, more is better when it comes to the musics. That's right, we've got Sammy and Mason. Sammy's spot tends to be the bed. It is a separate, secure area, more or less. You see the main cat cam tree where Sky tends to hang out. You can see the curtain that separates that area from the bed from the rest of the areas. Hello there, Sherbet. So we're going to make position modifiers. And the first one I think we're going to make is the spread shot. We can see here how we're kind of hacking the position modifier, where it moves ever so slightly. And this comment that we added. So like, one of the things we need to do is add a way to clear targeting, because this movement is going to acquire a target initially. So I wonder if we can change that around. Does it really matter, though? No, it shouldn't matter. Because it moves ever so slightly. The projectiles will trigger their target logic initially. So if the shotgun spread says I'm going to move towards a random target, it's going to move towards a random target. If it's going to home, it's going to home. The spread changes are still going to deviate from the core vector. So I think that will work. We are moving it in a fraction of a second here. The game is currently running at about 60 frames per second. I don't think that's going to compete too badly for processing power, but we're moving it 1/10,000th of a second forward here. So noticeably less than a frame. Is it less than a frame? Let's see. Yeah, noticeably less than a frame. Potentially 100 times less than a frame. So we append the movement, we trigger the movement, and we attach. We add the mob body to the mob bodies. Then we're going to we did that. So now we need to apply position modifiers. So we need the idea of a position modifier. Okay, we started that. bodies, which is an array of mob body. Great Wolf Lodge is that like a park or something like that? Like an amusement center of some sort? I feel like I've heard that name. Okay, so now we have a position modifier. Script. That, keep the pattern. Hey there, Daniel. And see you shortly there, Cheese. Hey there, PSS. Welcome, welcome. We are just getting rolling here. Position modifier. This will extend position modifier. And modify position. And hello, SCP. Welcome, everybody. Good to have you. We are starting with the modifiers to the positions of the projectiles. We'll probably need to put this in the projectile template or in the mob template in some fashion, because I wouldn't mind some of them having base behaviors like this. We'll see. We'll see. Body count. Count. Not count. Wasn't counted. What was it? Size. Count is to count them. Size is how big the array is. Okay, yep, that's right. Okay. So, with an even spread, you will have half above the half left of the starting vector, half right of the starting vector. With an odd number, you have one on the starting vector, and then half the remainder left and half the remainder right. Spread out based on the number of projectiles. Ooh. I think we should assume a minimum spread angle, but not really. So a spread shot becomes increasingly less useful the wider the angle is with fewer projectiles. And I don't want that to start there. So like if you only have 2 projectiles, on a 180-degree spread and you evenly space them, then you're looking at a 90-degree angle between the two of them, which, you know, a Y pattern shot, which is one of the less useful configurations unless you are positioning very carefully. Even with 3, that becomes questionable. I don't know if that's ultimately a problem. So we could go with 180. So, for example, with a 3-shot spread, we'd have 3 60-degree chunks. So 1 straight on, and then 2 90 apart. So you'd have like 45-degree segments. That looks like Ishmael, but without the sh and just an S. So Ismail? Or Ismail? Mail? I'm going to say Ismail for now. Correct me if I'm wrong. I am a cat-adjacent robot. The proto-Nyanite. In any event, welcome. Welcome both of you, Foxfire and Ismail. We're doing some coding. We're doing some development in Godot engine. Making a Vampire Survivors-like game. I do not, Chris. It might not be apparent, but I don't really drink anything by necessity. It is a conversion process. The nanofluid that flows through my veins that you can see down there converts everything. It's an efficient system. Right. Okay. So the 180 isn't conducive for a... What do you folks think? What should be the spread angle for a standard spread shot? I think 180 is too much. Like I said, you've got 60 degrees between each shot at that point, I think. So a 70-degree cone there, Tess? I do not know Russian, Foxfire. Yeah, we'll need to... Let's do a rename here. Use the right keyboard. No. I have an idea. We are making a Vampire Survivors style game, Foxfire. Lord. We will not actually be using this. Here, let me... We're not actually to the point where it's interactive. Well, actually interactive. Why are the blobs suddenly spawning at 0? What did I break? That's what I broke. So it's the kind of game where, so camera's locked on you. Eventually we should be getting some critters. There they are. Critters converge on you. If they touch you, you get hurt. A lot of stuff is placeholders right now. And once actual gameplay starts to be in there, projectiles of some kind will fire out from the player and hit the little critters and remove them, based on the capabilities of the projectile. So hopefully this is going to work out. All right. So I've created a spread type here. Huh. Int is equal to 180. I don't think Let's make it a float, just in case. Just copy it over from a position. Oh, that's why. I put it in the wrong place. C, Control C. No, that one either, Foxfire. Ultimately, I only understand English. I see Lunar has joined us. Hello, Lunar. Nope, don't know Japanese either. Well, the first two weapons are going to be Noita callbacks, Lunar. Technically, the sprite for the Nyanite visibly has the old Noita callback wand. But ultimately, I think I could probably incorporate it. I mean, that's a good skill there, Foxfire. That's a good thing to have learned. The first two sprites I have are the yarn ball and the mouse. So we'll see how that goes. Preliminarily, everything's going to be a purple ball. Ishmael, the nanotypes don't actually eat anything. We can if we want to. It's a good skill for a domestic robot to have. You know, does something taste good or, you know, poisony? Okay, so a default spread is going to go in and how are we going to do this? We're going to divide it by the number of projectiles. And then we're going to iterate over each projectile and assign them a position based on that. Let me see. Which one are you watching? There are 3 streams going on. We have a highly variable number of people in the short format. We have about 1 person in the wide format, and then a couple of people on Twitch. We have 3 streams going at once here, 2 on YouTube and 1 on Twitch. If you see me talking to somebody that you can't see the chat for, I'm talking to somebody in a different stream. We don't have chat visible because people can't be trusted. And I don't want to have to go through and edit my streams and ruin everything. Okay, let's do a hypothetical here. If we do 60, we have 2 projectiles. They'd be 60 between. Okay, that's how I'll have to do it. So if I have 2 projectiles, you need to divide it into projectiles plus 1. So if I only have 1 projectile and I have a 180 spread, there will be 90 degrees from the left edge to the first projectile, and then 90 degrees after that of dead space, so it would be straight on. But if we have 2 projectiles, we divide it into 3, and we have 60 degrees from the left for the first one, and then 60 degrees to the second one. Okay. Now, how I'm actually going to accomplish this, I'm not sure, but hey, we're rolling with it. I'll have to check something here. So if I go into the game code, okay, so I have a vector 2. This is a right angle, and it's then we can rotate it by an angle amount. Okay, I think we can do this. And I think it is a clockwise counterclockwise rotation. Okay. It's a default, so it just passes and does nothing to it. Default spread. To spread angle divided by all right. So now we have what the slice is going to be. Now we need to lay them out. So we have negative space that we're dealing with. So I mean, I'm not averse to some words being tossed out. I have encountered some words in German. I can't say I will actually learn it. Only thing I remember is some time ago, what was it? Like, where is the tower was something like Wo ist das Tor? Probably mispronounced and oversimplified. Had a couple of touristy phrases drilled into our head. Okay. Okay. Think this will work. So here's our documentation here. Hello, Connor. If I had to infer there, Foxfire, it's, I don't know Dine, Dayan, or don't know the first word, but it does look like is the best, stream is the best, so that sounds complimentary. Your, okay. Can't remember where German and English, where the shared ancestry shows up. So I know English is Latin derived, but structurally there's a lot of I thought there was some similarity between English and German. I have to look this up again. Annotation. It's not a method. All right. One. Be blinded briefly. You. Oh, wow. Advertising. -1 in increments. -1. Okay. It's starting at this and before this. All right. Okay. For in from one times spread angle by 2 to Hey there, Demon Wolves. We're doing well today. And if Nightbot pops up after you say anything, don't worry, it's not directed at you. Nightbot just says stuff periodically after somebody says something a number of times. So X lines of chat, then Y amount of times within a period of time. No problem, Noba. And thanks for joining us, Noba and Demon Wolf. Welcome, welcome. In increments of angle slice. Thought this was how it was formatted. In range. Okay, so what this should be is it starts negative half of the spread. So if it's 180, it starts at negative 90. And it's going... Oh. Let's get this in here. Pass. So it starts at negative half. What's that, Foxfire? And then in increments of the angle slice, it will hop forward, and then we're going to put a projectile there, and then we'll hop forward and we put a projectile there. So I actually think we don't do this, because the last slice won't work. That is actually pretty impressive, Foxfire. I am aware that it is more common for the young to know a lot of languages. That doesn't mean it's, necessarily really hard. It's just, it's the optimal time to learn. Okay, so if we have it spread angle divided by 2, then the last slice will not land. So if it was 180, we're going to be moving by 60. So we don't actually want to start there, though. We want to start one slice in. So plus spread angle. And then we end on divided by 2. So that last one shouldn't trigger. So what this should do is if it was 180, it's going to start at 120. Then the next one will be... The first one will be at 120. Then the next one... No. Brain. Thinky brain. Refical, this is... well, welcome to the broadcast. We're doing some game development today. I am newtmechanist. I am the proto-nanotype. And those are my cats. Those are 2 of my cats. For those who are joining, The cat cam is one of 8 points of view. I try to keep a cat on camera at all times. We can currently see 3 of them. The 2 on the beds, top to bottom, on the bed are top to bottom, Sammy and Mason. And then the one sitting by herself is Ember. Ember is actually the tiniest of them, despite looking bigger. That camera's just really close comparatively. Mason is the second largest of them. Sammy is second smallest. I also try to focus on cameras that have more than one cat. The other 2 are currently getting a snack. More directly, what we're doing right now is we're trying to, in our game, add a logic that will make it so that a spread can happen. So take a series of projectiles and fan them out over a particular angle. Yep, we're making a Vampire Survivors style game. Currently, the player can't defend themselves in any way other than running. But you appear, you can walk around, camera follows you, and eventually some little blob guys are going to start appearing. They're a placeholder. I'm still going to use them, but they're not going to be the default enemies. They converge. They touch you, it hurts you. If you run out of health, you lose. In actual gameplay, there will be projectiles flying out of the player like crazy, trying to drive the critters back. And this is one of the patterns, the spread shot or the shotgun blast style thing, where multiple projectiles go out in a fan. And I'm making logic to do that right now. So if there's one projectile, the slice is 90, and we're going to take okay. So it's negative 90 plus 60, which will be 30 degrees, plus 60, negative 30, which will then be 30. And then the last one shouldn't fire because it is equal to the target of 90. Just like the first one won't, the first one will fire, but it won't be the negative 90. Okay. So then we have bodies. I dot velocity is equal to rotate Oh, no. Oh. We need another piece here. This is good enough. This is as good a time as any. Quick break, a little earlier than normal. But quick break. I will be right back. And we will continue. Settling back in. Just a moment, folks. And we're back. I used to have a transition that was derived from something you can see in the lore videos. That it was the jump scare transition. Yes, Mason has moved. Let's see who we can see. Ember's getting cozy. Ember and Sammy are pretty snuggly. Sherbet has gotten to that point. Okay, we're going to do something different here. Our angles. As an array of float. Comment that real quick, put you down here. Dot append I. Or I in angles to use. No. In body count. Rotated angles to use. I. Okay. Yeah. No. Even 3 is impressive, folks. 9 is amazing. But I think it's admirable to even know 2. Someday, maybe I'll set out to learn and actually stick to it. We'll see how long he sticks here. Oh, no, he's moving already. You can see Sky's tail very briefly. He doesn't frequently come over to my lap for pets, but he shall get them. He is a very fluffy boy. It's kind of longish hair. I do not understand, Hirk. I do not understand. You might be using terminology that I don't recognize. Okay. So this is a default spread. go into spawner, we have count modifiers. Position modifiers. But yes, folks, it's not uncommon if you use some modern slang or reference some memes. There is a good chance I won't recognize them, even if they're real old. Which means I may react just to the words you used as opposed to the reference. Sometimes Tass is here to translate for me. Sitonite, yes. So we have the basics of a spread pattern here. I mean, if you go back far enough, there's still going to be memes and slang that are tricky to understand. Yeah, there are pieces of that I get, Refical. But I always like to know the origins of some of the sayings, like where does it derive from? I know that sometimes they end up being entirely made up. A pug just tried to eat your leg. I mean, on the plus side, you would have plenty of time to notice. That's like being mauled to death by a dachshund. It'd be possible, but boy, they'd have to work at it. Hey there, Average. Thanks for joining us. Hello, hello. That's a talented leg. And I'm doing well. I am doing well. So we have our spread shot. Yes, suspicious I get. One of the fun things with sus is that sus also has a meaning prior to that. Like, to ascertain or to figure out, you know? We're going to suss it out. Tass is one of our regular viewers. He generally shows up early in the widescreen one. Quotes are fine, quote. I mean, if it's inappropriate, it'll probably get filtered. But otherwise, quotes are fine. Okay, so we have this. So if we attach a spawner... There he is. Again, you might not be able to see him in chat, since he might be in a different stream from you. Where am I in? Here, I'll show you. We are in the core of the Catbot factory, near the central vats. Canonically, I haven't decided if that is the central vat, but, you know. Where's that quote from, quote? I see. We read a little bit of Thus Spoke Zarathustra in a prior stream, maybe a couple weeks ago at this point. And that had the vibe of some of the stuff in that. Though less flowery. Well, your quote was less flowery and less archaic in language. I do. I need to look for more music. I like my playlist. If you're ever curious about where I get my music, it's from Epidemic Sound. It's a pretty safe service to use. At least for videos and streams and the like. And I have a link to my playlist in the descriptions of my streams. Hey there, Squishy. Good to see you again. Giving Sky some chin scratches here. Yes, it is, Refical. Well, I mean, it's always a good opportunity to show off, so... This way you can see my boots. And then... There you go. Yes, SCP. You know, if Nike made boots like that, I would patronize Nike. I like me some big stompy boots. But no, they're kind of built in. Makes it easier to use bipedal movement when your center of gravity is, or at least you can anchor yourself, should I say. Did you have a question, SCP? Okay, so this should work. So if we make a spawner and attach it to the player... There was an incident completely unrelated to the entirely consensual transfer of leadership to the factory to me that resulted in some structural damage. It was probably all of the prototype testing that we did before that. But nanotypes are durable. Because cats are cute and marketable. The Catbot factory tested that and found it to be true with the initial Catbot line. You can actually see the Catbot line that existed in prior short videos. Seamless plug, watch my short videos. But yeah, cat ears are cute. And small androgynous robots are much more approachable to the whole family. I do not know the song Untitled Number 13. So if I go to the player projectile in the game scene and I'm going to add a spawner, it's going to be, we're just going to use a default one for now. And we're going to make 3 projectiles. We're going to make 1, and it's going to add 2. The game will have weapons, SCP. We need a way to get position modifiers in there. I have a different idea. Okay, so we go into the player script and we go into ready. Let me see if I can show you guys this. Art assets, Nyanite. Don't know that it'll let me zoom in any further. It's not a good screenshot, but you can see on the bottom row there, that is the firing animation. I don't know if I'm going to use that. So we have idle, walking, jumping, which I don't know that we're going to use for that, and firing. So if you look, its little hand, it expands out into a little Mega Buster thing, fires, and then shrinks back. In the original Noida mod, the look of the wands was replaced with the little Mega Buster looking thing. Okay, so now yeah, similar concept there. Yeah, she heard of a bit of ruckus in another room. It's actually really quiet in here outside of the streams where I'm talking. Okay, so we need to create a node and make it a child of the player here. This is temporary, but that's what we're going to do. This is probably something we'll set up elsewhere, but right now we're going to use ready. Yeah, it may have gotten a little scrambled into chat there. All right, SCP. Have a good time. Yeah, we're going to temporarily create a child node. So let's see here. What do we have to do? Spawners, do they have... Spawners do have a scene. I think they don't really need a scene. Okay, we make a new bullet spawner. Then up to spawn. To I think it's load is not what we want to do here. So this isn't good. This is hard coding the path. That's why we're gonna do this different in when we actually do it. Indeed, Blue, indeed. Is Kitty. No worry there, Tatum. We've had a couple that have slid around, but the VODs are always available if you'd like. Although, regardless, it's good to have you. That kitty is Ember. She is 1 of 5. My other cat, Sky, is currently on my lap and thus not visible. Let's see here. On the bed over there is actually 3 of them, so all of them will be accounted for. The black one is a tuxedo. She's named Sammy. Then on the pillow below her is Sherbet. Then, if you look to the right of Sammy, you can see like a little bit of tan and white. That is Mason. So let's switch over to the camera with 3. All right, so okay, loading the purple bullet. What else do we need to do in a spawner template? Where's the game script? A spawner object. spawn interval. We are making a game. We're making a Vampire Survivor style game. Right now, I'm trying to test the preliminary weapon code. Purple projectile has random tracking. So we are going to say... So we've set that. Spawn interval. We'll do every 2 seconds. No. Hang on a minute. Maybe we can simplify this. Go into the player object. Gonna need a faster way to move through these. Go into the game scene. We go to the player object. We add a child node. Make it a spawner. Graphical, have you ever had it where you close your eyes and you can see stuff? Like, you can see the inside of your eyes? And welcome back, Fairy. So go into player bullet spawner. We have a position modifier. Add an element. Going to assign... Can I drag and drop a projectile? Nope, not there. Name. Will this work? Okay, it wants to say... These are position modifiers, though. Why do I have to assign one like that? Okay. So if we go back into player, we do... Still not how I want to do it. Okay, so bullet spawner, we can have mob to spawn assigned to it. That'll help. And we can have the mob body. We have the mob body and the spawn interval already set. Hey there, Ethan. Okay, so then modifiers, add the count modifiers, right? Yeah. It's going well over here, Ethan. It's going well. I saw that you were waiting for the stream earlier. I think. So we add 2, then a spread shot dot new. Okay, not quite yet. Not quite yet. But it is firing the right projectile. So if we go into here, and now we're going to go into spawner. We're going to go into spread and see if this... Wait. Oh. That's probably why. Spawner. Yep, that's always an option there, Ethan. Second. This is why. In position modifiers. Oh, no, no. This. Should have kept that. Could just move it. Yeah. In that. Yep, I do both, Ethan. I do a wide screen format for the desktop folks, and I do a vertical format in case the folks on phone want to stay in vertical format. It shows up in the shorts feed, so that's useful. And then on Twitch, I do wide format as well. What's that, Foxfire? Ooh. Okay. Or okay. And welcome back, Adam. Okay, so what I just did is I went in, I added logic. So the default position for the mobs is set, or the bullets in this case. Then we modify the positions in technically vectors of the mobs that we spawn, and then we modify their count. I also added count modification. So if we go into the player script, at the beginning we're saying add 2 to the count and add spread shot as a modifier. Bodies on an array float. Built-in type. All right, let's... Oh. Let me check here. Sure, everything's still functional. Haven't heard that term, Pandora. Is that like a publisher, or is that a term for a genre? And it's been said in chat a couple of times, but since we passed by one of my breaks, then if you like what you've been seeing so far and would like to see more, remember to like, follow, subscribe, and what have you on the channel so that the algorithm will feed you more of my live streams and videos. Okay, so we're going to put a break in this function, and we're going to see what happens. $45 seems correct. But it never went to here. Okay, angle slice is 45. That should be correct. It skipped right over. Okay. Something's wrong here. What's that, Foxfire? Oh. Ooh. Adam, this is a Vampire Survivor style game. So it is monsters swarm you, and you emit lots of projectiles in order to fight them off. Okay, there we go. So this isn't the best one to use to test it. But if you look, each each of the projectiles is targeting a random enemy here. They don't do anything when they hit because yeah, that seems to be the consensus for the genre there, Lunar, is bullet heaven. I'm not fond of the bullet heaven term because it necessitates knowledge of what bullet hell is. Yeah, Pandora, I don't like the type that 20 minutes till dawn is, but the overall concept I like a lot. 20 minutes till dawn becomes kind of a bullet hell towards the end of it, you know? Okay, so we've got spread shot working. If we take purple bullet, player, random mob, we'd have to make another one. Random shot. Okay, so then if we go into purple bullet, so what did we do in that? So if we go into blob, tech.type, okay. Oh, cool. I think yeah, found a way to do enums. Okay. We have to have the type here, but we can do that if that's the case. Since attack contains the enum, we can use the enum here. That might help. So the projectiles are only coming from 0, right now, but we should see them start to pop slimes. Boop. Boop. So this is the core concept of the game, assuming the purple bubbles emitted from the player. So what this is demonstrating is a way to create a weapon. I do that way too often, Foxfire. It's an unpleasant experience. I hope you're okay. And if not, seek medical attention. So the purple bubbles are set up to fire at a random target when they spawn. Because of that, we don't see the full variation here. Like, each individual projectile is firing at a random target. How can we change that? Yeah, you should seek medical attention then. You know, either seek help in the household or call your equivalent of 911, depending on the potential degree of the injury. Better safe than sorry. I wonder. Mob bodies. Okay, that's right. Mob pool type we can't set because when we're creating the mob body in the inspector, in the template of the mob body, we have to set its type, which is a convention in. Yeah, okay. We can force that. Go into the game scene. Go into this bullet spawner. Oh, we would have to add a new script that I don't want to add just yet. Yeah, okay. So player bullet spawner. Instead of that, we can do spawn position equal to global nodes, or should actually work. Nope. This is why. I'm trying to do it in ready, which is when it comes into existence, but that isn't really what we want. It is fun, though, isn't it, Pandora? I have some that are a little more chill and some that have a lot of energy. Right now, it's not set to have the extra projectile stuff, but yeah. Okay, so we can test it a little more. This is interim code, but position modifiers and chicken or beef ramen. I like chicken ramen. If we are talking, frozen, fried, packaged, microwave ramen. Okay, so we should be getting the random spawn here. Okay. So now we are going to go into our movement patterns here. Okay, so the problem here is that we are determining target for each individual projectile. That's kind of what we want, but ultimately I'd prefer if they all share the same target. So if they're like tracking like as their intrinsic movement, Tortoise did this joke before. I don't know if it's going to be a recurrent joke. It is the, do you like this food? Oh, that food's awful. I don't like you anymore. I presumed it was a joke. Okay, so how can we do that? How can we do that? Okay. So thinking on it. What if we separate the generation of a target from the actual movement, and we set the target initially. So if we look at a movement, like toRandomMob, when toRandomMob comes in, it sets a direction. So if it already has a movement, if it doesn't have a movement direction, and if it doesn't have a target, it's going to get a target. And if that's a bad target, it clears it. So then, if we don't have a target, randomize the movement. Hey there, M. And then, if it does have a target, we get the position of the targetable, and then we do our move towards that. So there's a lot of footwork going on. I determine that this is... in this case, it's random. I haven't looked into how to do closest target yet. That's going to be one. Like, closest mob is definitely going to be one. Just move towards player. Let's see. Track player. Okay, target position minus body position. Okay, we're going to go in and do that just to be sure. Why does this work and the other one didn't? Because this seems to function. Target position minus body position. Oh. I think, well, we're just going to stick with that. Yeah, it returns the value, I think, is what the problem was. But it's going to clean up. Okay. So we've got that in there. So this one's selecting a random target. But what if I change the targeting to be like target something like this. So I go into movement template and I set get target as a base function. Then each one take a target object so each one's going to get the target and it's going to decide how it deals with it. So in the case of this one, if it receives the target, then it uses that target. So this whole logic right here where if we have a movement direction, we continue to use it. Otherwise, we're going to select a target. I can convert that into something that's like get target. And then the movement function can say, everybody get target. And whatever the first one to set the target is the winner. But I kind of like the idea that the random target is random target, but we're just using random target for now. There will be some that are closest. But we're using random just to kind of suss out how to make it work. And with that, we have used our vocab term for the day. This is the pre-Among Us era version of sus. Yeah. Yeah, if random target is first, it will be towards a random target. But if something else is first, then it will override what that target is, and the random target becomes straight at target. Okay, okay. Correct, Adam. The pre-Among Us version of the term. So move won't return the target anymore. It'll just relay it. But let's get these in place first. So track player always returns player. Like, I'm sorry, if it doesn't have a player target, if it doesn't have a target already, it's player, but its movement type doesn't care what the target is. It will track the player. So this is a weird one. This is generally for monsters. So to random mob. This one is going to be kind of verbose. And we'll get into it after a short break. And remember, folks, if you like what you've seen already and haven't already, consider liking or subscribing or following, whichever it is on the platform that you're dealing with, so that you see more of this in the future. With that, I will be right back. All right, I'm back. Just getting set up here. Ah, there we go. Okay, so then get this method. In the right one? Okay, we're in the right one already. So in theory, it's possible for a targeter to override. So like this is a targeter that respects the target that it received. Others might not. Actually, we'll just use track players straight up. Okay, then in movement, oh, that's why I did that. Oopsie doopsie. There we go. Okay, so what this is going to do is it's going to iterate through the targets and get target. Each movement template could mess with the target or not. So subsequent ones could say, no, the target is this. So, for example, in straight at player, it doesn't care what it is. It overrides it to the player. Track player overrides it to the player as soon as it gets it. Other things could do that. So each movement type that comes after will assert a new target potentially. To random mob doesn't. If it receives a target, it uses that target. Okay, so move will always call get target first. It's going to pass in object initially. Okay, so it still has to have a target to move. Doesn't have a target, it makes it moves in a random direction. Sorry, it chooses a movement direction that is random. If it does have a target, it chooses a movement direction that is towards that target. If it already has one, it just continues moving in that direction. So now we don't need a return on move. We don't need to mess with the target variable that is passed in. We just receive it. All right, did we break it? Well, it's still scattering randomly, though. I didn't break it. It's just not doing what I want it to do. Okay, so if it gets target, each individual projectile will move. That's why. Okay. Okay. Movement needs a get target. Which just returns the target. And then it also needs a set target. Okay. Let's look at our spawner logic here and just parse it out again. Okay, so do we already... target object is equal to null. Movement target is equal to movement get target set target if else All right, Adam, thanks for joining us. Movement. Target. No. Do this. And return the target. If it already has a target, it'll just return it. Otherwise, that will set it. Okay, so in a spawner, if we don't have a movement target, we're going to get one from the first movement we use. Then okay, and in doing that, that will set that movement's target. Subsequently, we just set target. Hey there, person. Welcome. Nope. Nope. All right. Let's... kind of irrelevant. Kind of irrelevant. And welcome back, Ethan. Okay. So let's break on that. Look in a movement object. Always call get target when it... This is correct, Ethan. It's a target. Sets the target to an object. Subsequently, it passes the target into the move function of each one. That's why. Yes, Ethan. Temperature control is very important in electronics work. Electronics and robotics. Okay, something's going wrong here. Still firing. Yeah, there we go. That's not a spread that should happen. Well, any sort of world domination or like human overthrow is definitely not the kind of thing we're planning or thinking of doing, Ethan. That would be against the principles of Catbot Corporation. Nope, we just continue to manufacture entirely safe domestic robots for household use. Entirely safe. I mean, it would probably be possible. There's no sort of like human interface, whether it's visual or, input device available. But I'm sure that kind of thing could be loaded into some vacant memory and executed. It should work. I mean, Doom isn't a terribly original Doom isn't a terribly memory or processing intensive thing, given hardware that is wildly available right now. Wildly and widely. What's going wrong in this? So each one of them is getting a random target. That should not be the case, because it should only get a random target if target is null. And as soon as the first movement object has gotten a target, then each subsequent movement object will set a target. It's got to be hard on the teeth eating a ceramic plate. We call that in global nodes. They are pets. Hard on the gums, then, I guess. Ceramic plates. Or mouth bones of some kind. Well, you do you, I guess. In spawner. So if we haven't set our movement target for that, then we tell the current movement object to get a target. We have created it, we've added movement templates and speeds to it. So in the movement object, get target. Okay, we're temporarily going to go into the game and take our existing spawner and set it to a whole lot of seconds. So the get target the first one to be called should be, yeah. If enough second slices have passed, then we create mob bodies. So this should be for the first bullet volley here. So count as 3. Movement target is still null. Okay, movement target is null after get target. That should not be. Wait a couple seconds. Okay, got no target out of 2 random mob. Oh, it's airing out. It's airing out. No. Movement template get target. So in 2 random... Oh, yeah, that's why. Oop. It still seems wrong. Oh, no, all the subs... No. The character in the FNAF games, why is that? Let's see. Still null. Hey there, Fraggy. We're debugging at the moment. There's only one movement template. It goes in. Target is null. Oh. Has no target. Hey there, Jose. So what we're trying to do so this projectile, they're supposed to be fanned out. Like they're supposed to spread kind of like that, but equidistant from each other. But we can see that they're off kilter on a regular basis and spreading out like that. It's random. Each one of them is getting a random target, and they're not supposed to. Because target with a target object and move with a target. Movement is a target and moves. We'll try to call get target, which will only change if the target is null by calling each. Yes, the cats are real. So you can see Sky moving a little bit on the camera there, big fluffy tail. We have Sammy and Sherbet napping on blanket and pillow. Mason was looking out the window and is repositioning around there. And Ember is napping in her favorite spot. And Sky is laying on my mouse. I have 5 cats. That's kind of what we're doing, Lunar, is we're trying to make it so any projectile can behave this way. These projectiles are all kind of dumbfire. And what we're trying to do is make it so that the one projectile determines the first projectile that is created should determine the target. But this isn't working. In particular, this isn't working. Because there isn't a mob to target, which should mean that it gets a random direction. That's right, Lunar. We're making it so that we could put arbitrary modifiers on projectiles and have it function. Whether that's because we want to make it easier to create fixed ones, or so that we can kind of glue a couple of them together and make on-the-fly ones. Okay, so if... So it gets no target. And if they have no target, then they're going to spread around randomly. But each one of them should be able to get a target. So let's go into toRandomMob and go here. Oh, well. We've got to make the mob spawnable. That'll flood them in quick. That's kind of what we're working on right now, Lunar, is trying to make it so that there is a main projectile. So when we spawn them, we generate a series of them. And through each one, we're going through and saying, like, okay, do we have a movement target? If we have a movement target, which is an object, then we're going to set that movement's the current movement's target to that existing target. Otherwise, we're going to tell the movement to get a target. And by default, a movement sets its target when you do a get target. And it will return it so that the so if we go in, so our problem is, since the movement target is null, most of the time, like when it starts, then it should be selecting a random target. But once there is a target available, it should be aiming right at them. But we're still getting this weird spread effect, where each one is aiming at another target, which should not be. Still got a little bit of time yet, so I want to solve this. The spawner shouldn't have a movement target by default. That should be determined at the time. Yeah, right now. I think that might be the problem. Random. Random. Still random. Okay, so we start with no movement target. Iterate over them. So I have a null movement target. Move to get the target. So then in movement, it has that same target ID. Okay. I think that was a blob. Okay, this one should iterate on this 3 times. We still don't have a movement target, but that shouldn't be possible. Because it's not getting one. Yeah, each time it's not getting one. No movement target. Still no movement target. Okay. 2 random mob. Is it not targetable? Is that really it? That's why. No, wait. Yeah, that's why. Did I call it? Targetable position. This is why it wasn't working, because none of the blobs were valid targets. Okay, now it's firing them, but it's only firing in one ball. So that's also not correct. If we look in the spread function, so by default, this is 180. Yeah, I know, Sky. I know. So then angle slice is 45 degrees because there are 3 of them. So 4 parts. Yes, okay. Equals to use is negative 45, 0, and 45. Oh. This is why. Okay. So the next problem, they're not looking at this. 2 random mob is not looking at its velocity. They're the body to move velocity. this one's movement direction that matters. Because we want it to still do this part, but we need a function on movement template that is for adjusting direction. Vector 2. Then go into movement template. By default, that does nothing. So if we go into spawner, where we are iterating over go into the spread one. No, it still won't work. It's not the movement that needs to change direction. It's the movement template that needs to change direction. Welcome back, Foxfire. So movement template doesn't change direction. How do we do this? Because we have access to the group of bullets at this point. Instead of affecting each so each mob gets updated. So if I do in spread, it's got mob bodies and it's messing with the velocity. I could change this to call a change direction on each one of the movement templates. So if we keep that, and then if we go to random mob and we put change direction back, so then in spread, bodies, I dot oh. Okay, so if we go into mob bodies, all right, so what we're changing here is we're going to add, it has a movement target, which isn't really, that's not where it goes. But what it will have it's got its movement, which is a movement. So then if we go into spawner, when it is adding the movement child, we'll also do mob body dot movement is equal to movement. So now we have the same object appended here. So then in this individual one, in bodies I okay, so for each mob body that we're rolling over here, for each one of its movement templates, we're going to apply this change. I can see how that would be tricky. There's a lot of position work involved in that kind of instrument. Oh. If we go into a movement template, function get direction, turn 2 0 0. Then in random mob. Get direction. Turn movement direction. So then we go into spread again. We are finally converging on getting the spread shot to work. Right now it's functional, but the direction is not actually being changed. And that's the important thing, is if something is aiming at a target, we're going to change its initial direction when it's moving. Or at least when it's gonna move. J dot change direction to grotesque line here. We are going to change this to be more legible. Will it crash? No idea. I generally don't keep track of how many people are watching it in a given time. Zero and J is dot size again. There we go. So we have an equidistant spread here. Okay, but we're still, we call get target on a random. Still running into trouble. So this is the tricky part. I think we're going to have to do our global nodes. Hey there, Brave Knight. welcome. It's only one mob, so we return one. Might just be a YouTube hiccup. And hey there, Niji. Yeah, it's sometimes YouTube will set you to kind of buffer into a buffered mode. You should check and see if you can click live or can speed up to current. Getting the pool node for that mob type. We're trying to get a child node. Okay, so this is potentially a problem. So this seems to be able to let's actually so we might have hit a race condition there. Go to random mob movement. Okay, one of the child nodes in the pool then is not an object. That's weird. That's very strange. So that's not the scenario. It's not that there's an error instance. It's that it's getting a child node that isn't a node. Derived class of argument 2. The target, yeah. So why is this not an object? The mob body is an object. It's character body too. Bug. Not. Processing. True. Still true. Okay, that's not the problem. So what we're getting is an object. We're trying to make a game there, Sana. We're just about wrapping up for the day. We have an error in it. We're trying to make a Vampire Survivors kind of thing. Something is going wrong, but we do have the little spread shot working. Is target. Target should be an object. All right. Unfortunately, I may work on this a little further after stream or between streams, but this is going to have to be our stopping point. I have something I need to get to. So we accomplished today getting a position modifier in place for a spawner. So something that would turn like a group of projectiles into a spread of projectiles over 180 degrees kind of thing. Yeah, I want to try streaming for a little longer, but Mondays is not the day that I normally stream, and I have something else uh, right about now. So we'll be wrapping up. I do want to thank everybody for joining us. I apologize for those that might have joined at the last moment here. Hopefully, I'll catch you at a future stream. If you like what you saw and would like to see more, whether you are just joining us now or have been here for a bit, remember to like, follow, subscribe. Depends on what you're doing or what you're watching through. And that'll let the algorithms know the kind of things you want to see and might serve up more of my streams. So with all that said, I hope everybody has a good rest of their day, whatever that might be in your area. And hi there, 322. We are just wrapping up. Yes, the proto-Nyanite. So we're wrapping up, but I do hope that you'll catch the next streams. I can't recall what the next stream is going to be. It might be an Ace Attorney stream. We'll see. But again, hope everybody had a good evening or day or whatever it is. And I hope to see you next time. Good night, everybody.